Hello. Welcome to the Hire Me Podcast live edition. Happy Monday, everybody. Good afternoon from me on the East Coast.
And good morning from me on the West Coast, the very wet, rainy West Coast. My name is Chris Lynn, one of the co-hosts for the Hire Me Podcast.
I'm Heather Balcerek. I don't think I introduced myself. It's Monday. I've had coffee, but it's just still Monday. So my brain is still very much like what's happening today. We're super excited to do this live today. We got a couple different topics that we want to cover. And the first topic that we want to cover is all of the amazing people that we interviewed last week. So if you follow this page, follow Chris, follow myself, that we have been posting these, Chris mainly, has been posting these amazing individuals and sending their information out into the world. And these interviews, they're quick, to the point, and I learned so much about each of these people, and they would be amazing to work with. So what are your thoughts, Chris? Because you did most of the interviews last week, and so what are your thoughts there about the interviews that you did?
Yeah, I mean, the interviews that we did were incredible, right? Is part of this experience, and again, I'll harp on the fact that you and I are not recruiters, so we don't get a chance to learn too much about people in other industries and their jobs and all of that. And I will even say that I got exposure to a lot of that. It was great learning about the abilities that all of these people have, their skills, their values, their experiences. I mean, I even interviewed someone that I previously worked with a little bit at my last job, or our last jobs, and I learned so much from him. That was Mike Gresham, and it was so awesome to really kind of dive deeper into what he does. But ultimately, something that I really came away from doing all of these interviews was just how important all of this is for job seekers. Like, I could feel the not only appreciation of job seekers in having these conversations and getting their names out there, but also feeling that, hey, they feel validated in the sense that they are not alone in this journey. And that's something that I think you and I both really wanted to harp on, is to kind of build this community, build all of this work so people could see and network with one another. That's one of the ancillary goals of this podcast, right? Is so people can network with one another.
Absolutely. This can be a very isolating journey, like you said, and just knowing that you're not alone in it. And I think from the interviews that I've done, sorry, y'all, from the interviews that I've done, getting to know people in industries that I know nothing about, it just blows my mind every time, because you can get so focused on where you are and what you do that you're like, oh yeah, people do other things. And yep. These are the kinds of conversations that are helping me expand my network, because if there is one thing about this job search piece that I am not, that I don't feel confident in, it's the networking piece. It's hard. And so this is helping me step out of that comfort zone of networking and network with other people. And I know we have a special guest here in a moment that we're going to bring on. And I want to say one thing about the questions that we're asking that are just part of this whole thing too, was prep, like interview prep. These are interview type questions. When we send out the email to people that sign up, it says, right, treat this as an interview, use star format. I was in an interview last week and I got asked the question, what type of leadership and company culture are you looking for? And immediately I was like, I know the answer. I know the answer to this question. Oh my gosh. And that confidence, just my confidence was so boosted because I was like, I've prepared this. And so like that's part of this process that we want people to get to. Yes. Is that like these are questions you could absolutely be asked, and we want you to be confident in that answer.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, that's question number 4 on our list, right? We have 6 set questions. So, if you're watching this and you're like, okay, how do I get on? How do I prepare? I've gotten that question quite often from people, is like, how do I prepare? It's like, don't worry, we'll send you all of these questions beforehand, actually, like within 30 minutes of you signing up. And let me post where you can sign up, actually. If you want to sign up, go ahead and scan the QR codes. You can get on either Heather's calendar or my calendar, whatever works best for you. But again, we'll send you the set of 6 questions and you can prepare and be ready. Again, it's a controlled environment, low pressure, low risk. It's a way for you to brand yourself, get your name out there. So we are really, excited because we have, I'm actually going to look at our list right now. We've published 8 or 9 episodes so far, and we have another 15 on deck over the next week.
Cow.
Something like that, 12 or 15, something like that. So be ready, because we're gonna have a lot more people that you can network with, and if you're a recruiter or a hiring manager, that you'll be able to learn more about, and maybe you'll find your next great new hire with one of these people. So one of these people that we got to interview, and more specifically I got to interview, is Lauren Hernandez. Her episode is actually dropping tomorrow. And Lauren, I'll do a quick little intro, but I'll let her do a more proper introduction herself in just a second. She is a tech recruiter, and her and I had a great conversation around AI and recruiting and how technology factors into the recruiting process right now. So part of what Heather and I want to do is, in some of these standalone events, podcasts, videos, is that we can bring on some experts so you as a job seeker can understand more about what to expect in the job market and how some of these things may influence how you apply to jobs or how you approach job seeking. So welcome to the Hire Me Podcast Live, Lauren Hernandez. Welcome.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect.
Good to have you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Nice to meet you, Heather.
Nice to meet you, Lauren.
So, Lauren, let's just dive straight into it. Give us an introduction of who you are and what you do, and then we'll talk about AI and recruiting.
Yeah. So I'm Lauren Hernandez. I live in Austin, Texas. I've been a tech recruiter for 5 years. Most recently, I was working at Facebook, prior to that, Amazon, and then Google. And I really just love my job because I love paying it forward. I think you and I spoke about, I really love helping non-traditional candidates like myself break into tech. And yeah, I just really like recruiting and helping people. I've been doing a lot of like resume help, interview prep, and stuff on the side as well.
Awesome.
Jen says hi.
Oh, hi, Jen. Jen Wynn is another like super recruiting superstar. We actually worked together here in Austin, and then she moved to Chicago, and now I think she's in North Carolina, but she's another great person to network with, you guys.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Lauren, tell us about AI, because that's a huge topic right now, right? Like everyone's talking about AI, at least everyone in Silicon Valley circles, right, is talking about AI. So what is AI, and how does that influence recruiting?
Yeah, honestly, AI is, honestly, I feel like it's like social media, right? It's when you think of how social media started 20 years ago, this was 2003 when MySpace first launched. And at first it was a very unknown territory, or when you think of like the big .com boom in the mid to late 90s, same thing. It was like a computer, you can connect to people around the world. That's weird. I think my perspective at first was definitely like scared. It's unknown. I didn't know enough about it. Recruiting has a very human aspect to it. And I think that's something that AI, no matter how much they improve it, that's something that AI, just in my opinion, won't ever be able to do. It's not going to be able to be as human as working, face to face or virtually with a recruiter who genuinely cares about you. I honestly think that it's going to be like social media. There's good to it and there's bad to it. I had a great conversation last week as well. There's a really great product that's coming soon called Skillorithm. I'm actually going to share more information about it on a LinkedIn post this week, but it's a really, really great AI tool that incorporates ChatGPT into the hiring and recruiting process. And once I started playing around with it, I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is actually going to not only benefit candidates, but benefit recruiters. But definitely check it out. And again, I'll pour some more information, but I think AI can be a great thing. There's going to be good and bad. It is a very hot new technology, if you will, in a lot of industries. But I think if recruiters embrace it and try to network with the developers and engineers as much as possible and try to really have our voices heard as far as how it influences the hiring process, I think that that's going to be super crucial, because AI, when it comes to recruiting, it's not just going to go away. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So we really do have to embrace it and try to influence the process.
For sure. I mean, there's so much. Okay, so can we dispel a myth first, actually, before we dive further into this? Is there's this myth out there that AI or ATS, applicant tracking systems, automatically just kind of kick people out. Can you talk about what that myth is that applicants and candidates have, or that fear, and what the actual reality is around ATSs and AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So an ATS, for maybe candidates watching, is I think you just said the applicant tracking system. I will say this varies company to company. Everyone has their own process. During my time at Google, I was on a team that got built out, and there were overall over 100 of us. And that was predominantly our job, is to make sure that every single resume coming into Google was reviewed by a human being. Some companies have those resources built out. Others, it's just a tool. And unfortunately, it does go by keywords. And so something that I often recommend to candidates is to have a more ATS friendly resume and just have that standard resume template that you see with those skills, keywords. Definitely add those skills and keywords to your LinkedIn as well, because some ATSs will pull your LinkedIn from your resume. But yeah, it's both true and false. It really just depends on the company that you're applying for.
Very cool. Very good to know. Heather, I know you've got some questions, so ask away.
Well, I got real fascinated in what Lauren was talking about, and I forgot my question. I should have written it down. It had something. It was going back to the AI thing of. Okay, so with it coming into recruiting and coming into everywhere, but recruiting specifically, with every company does this differently, right? Because every company system is different. From an applicant standpoint, knowing that everything's different on the other side, are we looking at kind of that same advice that you just gave us as far as ATS stuff? Like, try to keep it very simple, very clear. As far as if AI is going to start helping with this, just like an applicant tracking system does, kind of as we go to approach our job search and applications, is it kind of that same advice, or is this going to be like, well, we'll just wait and see and see what comes from it?
I think both. I think that AI could definitely also pick out candidates from LinkedIn and things like that, because as sourcers, which I predominantly do, sourcers source candidates from the internet, and we source based on Boolean searches and different recruiting tools, but it's predominantly, keyword based or job title based. So if your resume isn't on your LinkedIn necessarily, or you don't really have an online presence through social media or whatever it may be, AI may or may not necessarily find you as a candidate. So I think it really could be both. I think it's really going to be exciting to see how AI does that when it comes to being incorporated, especially with ATSs and searching for candidates.
Yeah. I'm so fascinated because you mentioned that you worked at Google and you had a big team and you looked at every resume. And I did some recruiting at Apple, and we looked at every resume that came in. And it's a lot of work as a recruiter because you really do. You look at it for a couple seconds, or you look at the questionnaire, where are we at there, with a candidate, that may knock you out if you miss something on the questionnaire that we're looking for. What, as a recruiter for you, what is something on a resume that will draw you in and make you read the whole at least first page? What's something that stands out to you that you look for?
That's a good question. I've reviewed probably well over 50 to 60,000 resumes. For me, it's that first page, right? Like, I am a big resume myth buster. I don't think resumes have to only be one page, only have to be a certain format. I myself like to be a little bit more creative, so I have a more creative resume template. And again, I think it really depends on the company that you're applying for. If you are applying to big tech, if there are human beings or a hiring manager that's looking at your resume, you might want to be a little bit more creative. And really, as a human, what are you going to look at? The first thing you're going to look at is that top section. The name. Is there a LinkedIn? Is there a portfolio? Because we just naturally want to be curious. So if there is a LinkedIn or a portfolio and a person is looking at it, we're more than likely going to go click on that. And I'm seeing a lot more people, myself included, building out portfolios just to have more extensive details. But really, I'd say that first top section. So a lot of people either want to put their education, that's something that they're really proud of. They want to put that at the top. Or other people like myself, I don't have a degree. I want to have my skills section or my interests right on top. Other people want to have a quick objective or a quick summary of just 2 to 3 sentences that show, here's why you want to hire me. It really just, I think, depends on what you're recruiting for, and for the candidate, which company you're applying for or who you're interviewing with per se, and what you really want to showcase.
It's really good to know. I mean, it also goes to show that let me use letters A, that it allows candidates to have creativity. B, it also goes to show that organizations are looking at different things. C, the recruiters or the sourcers within the organizations also have their own preferences, right? And so finally, D, it also means that for job seekers, it's very easily to get discouraged, but it's not necessarily something that you've done. There's a variety of factors that are influencing whether or not a recruiter looks at your resume and application, goes, oh yes, this is someone I want to talk to, right? It could be a variety of those different things that will influence a yes or a no. And to go back to your point around building a portfolio, I'm going to give us a little shout out here, is that, if you come on the Hire Me podcast, you could put the interview onto your portfolio webpage, wherever that might be. So just saying, we would love to have you on. This is a free platform for you to brand yourself, to build yourself up. So I just wanted to add that in there. So again, if you're watching, you're like, how do I do this? Do I have to pay anything? No, you do not. That is not the goal of our podcast. So Lauren, we've been going for a little bit. I want to make sure that we give you your time back as well. So what resources are available or recommended for job searches for those who are job searching?
Yeah, actually, before I answer that, you actually just gave me a really quick thought. Standing out as a candidate is huge, and doing that exactly, networking, I think, is something that is very underutilized. And some people might be a little more shy to do that. So whether you want to do that virtually through LinkedIn, I think that LinkedIn is a very underutilized tool. I have a lot of colleagues and friends that aren't necessarily in the tech or recruiting industry that don't even have a LinkedIn. I didn't have one before I came into the tech industry, and now in just those 5 years, I have almost 10,000 followers. Networking is extremely powerful, and doing things like that, like saying, hey, I was on a podcast and I'm really looking for a job. I'm talking about my skills and things like that, and adding it to your social media network, your LinkedIn, is huge. Back before, actually, honestly, all the way up until Facebook, something that I always recommend to my friends, to candidates, to colleagues is, if at all possible, I know everything is done online nowadays, but what really sealed the deal to help me get all my jobs is either showing up in person with an actual hard copy, old school resume and saying, like, hey, I submitted an application online. I just really wanted to introduce myself and basically go like dressed and ready to like interview on the spot. Cause sometimes maybe the hiring manager might be there and just say, hey, like, let's go chat in my office, or really great to meet you. But it's just, again, showing that you're taking that initiative and saying, like, you really want me and I really want this job. Whether that is sending those thank you notes after an interview. Here in Austin, there's a company called Tiff's Treats, and they send fresh, hot baked cookies. And that's something that I've always done, is as a follow-up, is I send cookies afterwards. Like, thank you so much for your time. Do anything you can, think outside the box to do things to stand out as a candidate. Again, leverage your network. So circling back to your question about what resources I'd recommend, using your network and other people's network. Just start adding people on LinkedIn, send a quick introduction note and just say, hey, I just want to connect. I want to utilize my network. I'm growing my network, kind of thing. And then tangent off of that and look at their network and see who you could connect with. And just, I think networking is just really, really underutilized, especially in this post, I guess we're still technically in a pandemic, but in this new realm of everything is virtual, everything is online. Don't be scared to do the same. There's a lot of great people that are doing things virtually like this. Something that I particularly always recommend to candidates is levels.fyi. It's a really, really great website. They've grown a lot. It's been great to see their success, but it's a really great website that shows transparent salaries for a lot of companies, and they keep adding more data. And not just that, they also now offer, resume coaching, salary negotiation, interview prep, and things like that. But there's also really good recruiters and really good people, human beings like us, that genuinely care about helping, and might just be like, hey, like, if somebody, slides into my DMs and is like, hey, can you help me out with interview prep? Or can you take a look at my resume? If I have the bandwidth, I'm more than happy to do that. Or if I don't, I'm happy to refer them to someone. But resources, like, I'm so excited to see your guys' podcast. I think you guys are I'm just so excited to see your future success. I think you two are really great, genuine people with a lot of knowledge to share. And I'm just so excited to see like future candidates and see where you guys go with this. This is another great resource, podcasts.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the compliment. I'll Venmo you that $20 now.
I'll send you some cookies.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your expertise. If you want to learn more about Lauren, her Hire Me podcast interview comes out tomorrow. I can't speak right now. Her interview comes out tomorrow, Tuesday, March 14th. So look for that to be dropping. Lauren, where can people connect with you?
LinkedIn, or I have an Instagram page. My Instagram is Eating in Austin. It's just a fun little foodstagram that I do to showcase local mom and pop shops. But yeah, LinkedIn, my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/Lauren Hernandez ATX, I believe. But I'll repost this Hire Me podcast when it's published as well. So you could just search Lauren Hernandez. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank
There you go. So if you want to connect with Lauren, take out your phone, scan the QR code. You will be able to connect with Lauren instantly. I'll put this up for just another second. Lauren, any final thoughts before we take off for the day?
Right now, just don't get discouraged. I know a lot of people are in this crazy job market right now, and it's easy to be sad and scared and, not know what the future holds for us. I think my own prediction is, especially in tech and different industries, whether it's real estate, the housing market, the mortgage industry, things are going to be a little bit shaky for maybe the next year or two, but just be patient and know that all things are temporary. So whether you're just, being hard on yourself, like, oh, this is, a huge blow to my career, I got laid off, or I got, I'm not where I want to be, basically. Just be patient with yourself, utilize your network, utilize your resources. Be kind is another big one. You never know who you're going to be working with in the future, or who's going to be interviewing you, who's going to say, hey, my team is hiring. And I remember meeting you from a podcast or South by Southwest or LinkedIn or whatever it is. Just be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself and one another.
Great tips. Lauren, thank you again so much for coming on. Again, if you want to connect with Lauren, she's available on LinkedIn. She's got her Foodstagram available as well on Instagram. So make sure you connect with her there. And look out for her interview dropping tomorrow, Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
It was good having you.
Thank you, Lauren.
So much for having me. I'm so excited to see your guys' success.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Ooh, so much knowledge.
Look, now I'm like fired up and motivated. Like
yeah.
that, like Lauren, I needed that today from Lauren.
Yeah.
That don't get discouraged, because I'll be honest, I sent Chris a text earlier today. I was like, real talk. Like, this is how I feel. Because, it is what it is. And so I needed that. So, man, thank you, Lauren, for that.
Yeah. Again, it's so easy to get discouraged. If you're watching this still or listening and sorry, I can't speak. If you are watching or listening right now and you know someone who's job seeking, reach out to them, check in on them. And what I've been doing at the start of every interview before we hit the record button with everyone who's coming on to the podcast is, how are you doing? And then they'll give the standard answer like, oh, I'm good, or I'm fine. And then I will follow it up with, well, no, how are you really doing? And that I've realized that there's so much more that's going on behind that initial ask and initial response. So same thing with your friends or your connections, family, whoever's job seeking. Ask them how they really are, because chances are their first response to you is not true. It's a facade.
Yeah. How you doing? I'm good. It's good.
Yeah.
So, ask again. Ask one more question. And really check on those folks, check on each other. And like Lauren said, like, be kind to each other. Like, this is a difficult time for a lot of people. And Chris, I think we talked about it on the launch, about like the survivor guilt for like the people that didn't get laid off, but their teammates did, right? Like, it's, check on each other. I think making connections with people and keeping them throughout your career, even if you leave a job, is one of the most important things ever. I have some of the nearest and dearest friends that I've made throughout my lifetime, and it all comes from just making those connections.
Yeah, human connection is so critical, and as Lauren said, right, from a recruiting standpoint, that human connection is so critical into building relationships between recruiter and job applicants and candidates. So there's a lot
makes all the difference.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, we could talk about that forever. I'm sorry, we're almost at time. So
so
I'll put that on the later
yes,
list.
Exactly. So for again, if you're watching, listening, make sure you are subscribed wherever you are watching this. Make sure you're following wherever you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube. we have new interviews of job candidates and job seekers, those who are open to work, coming out essentially every day at this moment. So make sure you are subscribed. If you're listening to this, same thing. If it's on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, whichever podcast platform you're listening to this on, make sure you're giving us a subscribe and follow as well, because you'll just meet so many incredible people. As we wrap up, Heather, any final thoughts, final last words before we finish for the day?
I want to say thank you. In the 2 weeks we've had our page on LinkedIn, we have, I think, over 200 followers now, and just all of the kind words, the support, the likes, the share, like, thank you. It means the world to us that you're helping us spread this message and this mission that we're on to help job seekers. So thank you.
Yeah, 100%. So again, if you want to know who we talked to last week, we talked to 7. We released 7 episodes last week. We actually released one today that's not on this list. And we have much more coming up. So make sure you are watching, you're subscribing, you're following us everywhere. Again, it was good to talk to you live. We'll try and do these more regularly so you can join in on the conversation, and we'll have more guests as well. So this is Chris Lynn signing off.
Heather Balcerek. Y'all have a great day.